The Honorable Matabula made reference to some building that belonged to the municipality. I don't have the information. If the Honorable Member can forward me the exact building, I will definitely make inquiries and then give the Honorable Member some feedback. Then just lastly, the committee wanting to be consulted on phase 2, Chairperson, that can be arranged and we will fit that in as part of our consultation process when we deal with NIP, the second phase of NIP 2050. I will give over to Professor Mogopa and his team to deal with some of the detailed questions. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson and members.
Thank you, Minister. I suggest that I start and the team will then add on the more specific questions that relates to their area. Firstly is to go back to the question raised by member team. I'm sorry to refer to member by first name. I'm struggling to pronounce the surname. I do apologize for that, Chair, and to the member. Just to say that part of your observations are correct, correct in that we are not responsible for conceiving and delivery of a project as ISA. So what we do is to help departments and the SOEs to do project preparation so that we can access the big pool of liquidity that is available in the debt capital markets, the pension funds, commercial banks, and the GFI. And once we were able to attract such investments, it is then up to the sponsoring body. It could be any sphere of government or the SOE to deliver on that project. So the value that we are adding is to bring to bear the skill sets that we have working with the private sector to help projects to attract financing outside the fiscal framework, so that we relieve the fiscals and access funding in the debt capital markets. Like I said earlier on, I think the major weakness of this process is that we are not responsible for delivery. I mean, I can use the central projects that should go back to their own Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium. The seats in 2020 were able to attract financing to support or deliver on Sandral's projects to the tune of about 17 billion. And once we were able to raise that money, it was up to Sandral to observe its own governance process guided by the PFMA to do procurement. And then 2 years later, they then cancel the projects and they are restarting them again. So the point I'm making is that we help in the project preparation and also raising financing for the projects. We don't get to deliver the project. And that's also the distinction between us and DPME. So DPME, by definition, they do monitoring and evaluation. So essentially, they come after the fact and assess your performance against the promise you have made. We get involved much earlier, so we are very active in soliciting and canvassing and working with them to make sure that they attract financing and funding. And then through that mechanism, once the financing has been secured, it's up to the project sponsor to then run their own internal process. But of course, there's an additional requirement that they have to report to us so that we are able to report to structures like this one, to report to Minister and DM, Deputy Minister, on the progress made against the infrastructure investment plan. So we carry the responsibility of reporting against those projects that we have assisted in attracting financing and those that are sitting as part of the infrastructure investment plan. So I think Member Mate would have asked the question about the Giyani projects and other projects. Just to say, we only report on those that we have helped to attract financing and funding, and those that sits on the strategic integrated project as designated in terms of the Infrastructure Development Act. And then on the question around that Member Boshoff has raised, I'm sure Dr. J will add there. When we talk the urban-rural divide, really, Member Boshoff, the point we're making there is that there is a over-concentration of investment in your big metropolitan areas. If you go to the slide that Dr. Join presented, about 60% of investments over the past 28 years or so in infrastructure is concentrated in your major metropolitan areas, in particular, city of Johannesburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, eThekwini, and Cape Town. Now, what that means is that there's investment famine in the rural areas, and as a result, there's no development because there's correlation between